Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy, and I've been doing some trading, or been trying to, and mostly people are not interested. But I did manage to trade a deck and get this, the Dark Fairytale Tarot, and this is just kind of my further adventures in finding a dark deck. You know, I have the Dark Mansion Tarot, but that deck actually doesn't feel dark to me at all, really. And I've heard other people say that as well. And I've got some others. I would say that the Gothic Tarot, although really the Gothic Tarot gets so over the top, kind of with its gargoyles and stuff, that it almost becomes a little comical. Yeah, so I'm still sort of looking to see if there's a darkish deck that I really resonate with. And every now and then, just like I said with the Dark Mansion Tarot, feels like a good general deck. The Ghost Tarot feels like a good general deck. And so I expect that this look at some dark decks is just going to peter out here fairly quickly, because I think I've looked at all the ones that are dark in a way that I can tolerate, and that probably what I'll start to do eventually is just sort of weed them out and eventually end up with maybe one or two or maybe none that I feel are particularly dark. I don't know. We'll see. But this is the latest attempt in finding some dark deck that I connect with. I feel like maybe I'm not, maybe whatever dark side I have is not what is traditionally within the tarot community or the esoteric community what they would consider dark. Maybe I will resonate with something else completely different. I don't know. Maybe my dark decks are actually light fluffy decks, you know. I don't know. Anyway, here's the back of the Dark Fairytale. And I could already see that there's going to be one issue that I'm going to have, and that is the whole dark runny mascara thing. I don't get it. I know that what is it? The Heal Yourself cards. Do I have them out there? Yeah, Heal Yourself reading cards. I know that that's featured in there, and that strikes me as melodrama. Like, look at me, I'm sad, I'm crying, you know, like a self-pitying sort of thing. But you know, I'm sad and it's messed up my makeup. Oh my God. I don't know. So let's get into it. I don't know that I have any problems other than that with this deck, but I haven't looked at it closely, and I don't know that my webcam is going to help in that regard. And so we've got a fool with a mask on and a rose, and you've got two different moons up there. So very moody. And red. Interesting party feel to it. And here's the Magician. Not sure why I'm getting quite so much glare. He's kind of tilted in an odd way there. I don't know if he's leaning up against something. Is he leaning up against? Maybe he is leaning up against a rock. Oh, very Gothic architecture, cathedral-y architecture. I wonder if that will, it does look like it kind of continues, which is a kind of an interesting idea. This is supposed to be not only a fairy tale tarot, there's a little guidebook, little white book. Is this a Low Scarabeo? Yeah, it's a Low Scarabeo. So, you know, a little white book. And I didn't look to see if it had much to say. But it is saying that the fairy tale is fairy. On the borderland between sleep and waking lies the land of fairy. It can be glimpsed in those soft moments upon the edge of sleep, but is entered only in dreams. From this land issue tales so old that they are part of the fabric of our hearts. In the present day, many fairy tales have been sanitized for a modern audience, portraying fairy as a happy ever after wonderland where true love is the right and destiny of all. Yet those that first told those stories around campfires and hearths knew the truth. In their original version, fairy tales were filled with darkness and despair, and every joy was weighed against an equal and opposite horror. In these tales, fairy is a subtle and perilous place that holds our nightmares as easily as our dreams, and love is a dangerous game, as likely to end in tragedy as in joy. So this is, tapping into that part of fairy. But still, kind of the whole idea that fae would have anything to do with these Gothic cathedrals is a little strange. But here's our high priestess. I know they're just using the architecture to set the mood, and it works. Although I'm not sure that I'm going to end up seeing this as really a fairy or fae deck. We'll have to see. One of the things that comes up with these cathedrals is the notion of what is abandoned, or what we're inhabiting that is abandoned. So there's our Empress with her skulls, and the Emperor with his wolves. And it's interesting because in this environment, he looks a lot like a Hierophant, almost as much as anything. But we've got hands reaching up for the Hierophant, so that distinguishes him. And the red gives him a bit of a hellish look, or maybe these are supposed to be the demons of hell, or the people who have been condemned are reaching up and saying, "Save us." I don't know when this was published, but that looks like a lot like Saruman. I can't remember the man who played. No, I'm not going to remember it. This was copyrighted 2012, so there could be an influence there. The Lovers. Is that a heart down there? I suppose. Makes it look like he's sitting on a heart, which is a little strange. And a fairy tale castle in the background. So this could be a great deck for ruins. Look at the ruins back there. Wonderful, moody clouds around the ruins. A nice dark chariot, I must say, with the dark horses pulling it, and like it's a heavy wagon that they're pulling. It's not something dainty. Looks like an angel, though. Looks like she has wings. And this person seems to have wings in... Gosh, with the sword, I don't know if this is justice. Yep. So 8 is justice in this deck. No balance? Only a sword? Okie dokie. And she's brandishing it like it's warding off some evil. Beautiful hermit cards. Really, hermit cards are often such wonderful cards. Easy to love. Yeah, the Wheel of Fortune. It's interesting. Do we have anything in that corner? Yes, there is a bull. barely visible, but there is a bull. You can kind of see his horns. And then we've got a sphinx there. And apparently she is the angel made large. And there's the eagle. And here is strength. Maybe she's having the strength to vent. That looks like the same mountain that was in the Hermit card, pretty much. Are we reusing imagery? Yeah. So I'll just say that is what it is. The hanged man is just sort of falling. It's kind of the falling man instead of the hanged man. Or woman, the falling woman. Fallen woman? I don't know. It looks like she's got something wrapped around her, but it seems like it's part of her garment. And it looks like there are hands there ready to receive her. And a really interesting death card. He's just waiting in the shadows. I mean, he doesn't even seem to be pursuing. There's our temperance. The devil. It's interesting that they've put an angel there. She doesn't seem tied. And he doesn't seem to be looking at her. You're just hovering there in the background. I mean, he's an ugly, yucky devil. But she doesn't even seem to be aware that he's there or look like she's particularly oppressed. And he's not looking at her or acting as though he's menacing her in any way. So it's kind of an interesting devil in that regard. And another ruin and another wolf for the tower. So not much left to strike down with that tower. A sweet star. Not sure if those are ravens or crows or what those are there. Anyway, and this looks like a young. And just the wings are too heavy for me to see them as fairies or fae. To me, these are angels. For what it's worth. The moon, more gothic. Look at that gothic architecture there. Yeah. I've never seen a cross up on the moon card. Probably anywhere on the moon card. The sun, kind of more the hero. Judgment. She doesn't look like she knows how to toot a horn. It's like she's doing it out the side of her face. It looks like she's got chains that are broken. And here is the world. This is on the box. Who's that dude there? He's a little strange. And let's face it, the way she's walking is a little strange. Her whole aspect is a little strange. So cups. The Ace of Cups. That's skulls. Yeah, we got skulls. She looks like she's dribbling blood. I don't know if she's supposed to be vampire-ish, if this is supposed to be a cup of blood. I don't know what the little cross is doing in there. Oh, there it is. The Two of Cups. It's interesting that they're, they don't seem interested in exchanging cups. So kind of some different stories going on here. The Three of Cups. The Four of Cups. You've still got the disembodied hand there offering a cup. She's in the doldrums. The Five of Cups. Where's number 5? I see 3, 4. Does she have it? Maybe she does. It's not very visible though. The Six of Cups. So here we have her being chained, and there's some more hands down there that are chained. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what story that's telling. It definitely seems different than the one we're used to. The Seven with its various cups. And I don't know if she is growing wings or had her wings clipped or what the situation is there. The Eight of Cups. I don't know what this figure is in the foreground. It just looks like a statue. What, not focus? I don't know. Anyway, there it's focusing, but I think it's too far away to tell what it is. So it looks like an eclipse with lightning, and she's holding a violin. Some more budding wings, or clipped wings. I'm not sure what's going on with the wings on the back. The Nine. Strange, kind of a little grotto or something. And the 10. Kind of a strange, at least the fish looks like a real fish. But to me, it makes me think of sardines or something. And there's that makeup. And she's drooling some blood. So that was our Page of Cups. Our Knight. Nothing, he's just... It's interesting that our Knight is leaving. Oh, he's got a dragon. The Knight of Cups has a dragon. Oh, that's interesting. The Queen of Cups. Is it fish? There's at least one fish there. And the King. And he seems like he's not very happy about something. I think it's, so many of the kings are so flat. That's a pretty flat, when you've got this for the queen, and even if you don't quite understand what all's going on there, there is at least visually dynamic. And then you've got this really flat, static king. So we're into the suit of swords here, and here they're choosing to have the sword downward instead of upward. The 2 is interesting. Looks like some part of the graveyard is underwater and there's more graves back behind her. Why she's wanting to navigate that with a blindfold, I don't know. It's funny here because she's got striped shoes or socks or something. It's like, how does that come into it? More violining with the 3 of Swords. The 4 of Swords, she looks dead. She doesn't look like she's resting, just because of maybe the way her hand is. And that she has kind of a blank stare. Whereas the 5, an interesting 5. To me, this 5 looks like kind of the discovery of power or experimenting with power without the negative aspect of people being kind of their egos or their self-esteem being destroyed by somebody's actions. And here's the 6 of Swords. I have a little skull. Is that what that is down there? Or is that something rising out of the water? I don't know. Yep, they might be moving by magic as well. Yeah, it looks like there might be a hand coming up there onto the boat. Because this person is not poling the boat to make it move. He seems to just be using magic. The 7 of Swords. I don't know if this is... I think the whole thief aspect is lost there. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I don't think it's the thieving. A more traditional... Uh-oh, she's in trouble now. What does it say? Does it say vampire or something on her? Oh, focus. There's a face. Yep, vampire. So this is her... It's supposedly her demise, but will it really be? Yeah, her punishment for her death for having been discovered as a vampire, or believed to be a vampire. The 9, she's sleeping, she's got knives all around her, and she's got one kind of pointing toward her brain, so that's a relatively traditional, but rather more gruesome with the open eyes. 10 of Swords. I mean, there is an interesting aspect in that the one that's forward seems to be her throat. It's like, so that gives that more significance. You know, normally it's like a line down the back as we have it. And here there's that really prominent one right in the throat. And then there's a couple that look like they would be more like solar plexus. And then the rest of them are all over down below. So, now whether that was intentional at all, I doubt it, but it could potentially give that card some significance that it wouldn't normally have for me. The Page of Swords. I think she has some of that dark, liney stuff going on around her eyes. And there's that funky little figure, whoops, over here that I think was in another card or something very similar to it. The Knight. It's like you can't hardly see his face. There's so much kind of going on there. It makes me almost think, this horse makes me think of Ichabod Crane. Or even Don Quixote, the Man of La Mancha, which is not something I would normally think of with the Knight of Swords. The Queen is clearly a deck creator that believes that the Queen of Swords is the kind of royal bitch of the court cards. Though I don't know that her Queen of Cups was particularly friendly looking either. And here it looks like the King of Swords is actually using his sword, which we don't usually see. But it's not clear, and again, he looks like an angel to me. Those wings aren't fairy wings. But he might not be stabbing this young man. He might just be blocking him. I mean, it almost looks like this young man is offering his sword. So I don't know what's going on there. Ace of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles, again with creepy hands. It's the deck with the Gothic architecture and the creepy hands. The three, very much what we would expect. The four, it's getting a little weird. Yeah, I don't know quite what's going on there. It's like he's being attacked by the two in the air. The five is much more peaceful. I mean, this is like the safest card in the entire deck so far, is the Five of Pentacles. The six, again, I don't know quite what's going on in there. I can't even tell if that person, I guess that person's coming forward without a face as opposed to leaving. I'm not sure. Figure with the staff. The Seven of Pentacles. Well, you do have kind of the plant life aspect. So I think that little blue thing is supposed to be a fairy, and I think the little pink thing is I think they're supposed to be fairies. I'm not so sure, but the eight, no hard work here, just taking a look at what somebody else has done. And I'm not sure what else is going on there, if anything. The nine, if this is a success, it doesn't look very comfortable. Interesting symbol there on the rock. But again, it doesn't look like a very comfortable situation. So this is an interesting 10. We've got another dragon. She's looking at herself in a mirror. We've got butterflies. I don't know what this is over here. There's at least one bird, but I don't know. And it's strange, you've got a bunch of pentacles in the air, and there's more than one of the pentacles cards that has that pentacle in the air, because it's supposed to be earth energy. It's supposed to be grounded and weighted down. They're flying in the air in this deck. So there's our page. Relatively simple, straightforward page. She's got a bird on her shoulder. The knight, who's actually much more active than the usual Knight of Pentacles. The Queen, and she's got that makeup, that weird makeup-y look to her also. The runny mascara look. And there's the King. So it's like only the King of Cups that was super static. The King of Pentacles actually strongly resembles the King of Swords. And I think that image in the background, that dark form in the background, which I think is supposed to be a castle over here, the ramparts of a castle. I think I saw that in another card. Wands. So we have a purple wand with a crystal. The Two of Wands with something floating. The crystal ball. Three of Wands. Four of Wands, and not traditional in the sense that it's not stability, it's actually still moving her forward on her way. And the Five of Wands is quite traditional. We usually don't have somebody on horseback, which gives them a strong advantage. Pretty traditional six, although you don't see any people attached to the wands there. Seven of Wands, what is she doing? Apparently she has some power in her hands. But again, there's no people attached to these wands, so there's no sense of what she might be fending off. I love the moon and the trees in the background though. Yeah. And I think there's some bats there too. The Eight of Wands. You've got a hand coming up. So communication from the underworld, communication from the dead. I'm not sure that that's ever good news. That's supposed to be the good news card of the deck. Ooh, we have another hand here also in our nine. So it's a good thing. Oh, there's many hands. Look at them. They're sprouting up all over the place. It's a good thing he's on guard, even though he doesn't seem to be noticing. And he's less the wounded warrior. He looks more like he's just in contemplation. The Ten of Wands, another hand reaching up to grab her feet, her legs, and trip her. And there's some other hands there. So the earth is very alive with hands and arms in this deck. The Page. There she is with her streaming black makeup. Is that a sword? That's supposed to be her wand. Maybe it has a long pointed crystal on it. I'm not sure. Anyway, there she is. It's very steampunkish. And the Knight of Wands. A fairly traditional Knight of Wands. The Queen of Wands. She's got her head cocked in a weird way. What is back there? It looks like a temple, maybe on a hill. And then the King of Wands. It looks like he's got a lizard there. Like, I don't know. Not quite an iguana, but kind of like an iguana. Okay, so there it is, the Dark Fairytale Tarot. And I'm not sure. I'm just not sure about it. I'm going to see what some of the Four of Swords. The final rest is the final peace. So I was right. It's no longer just a rest in a church, reflection within a church. It's supposed to be that she's dead. Sometimes the sword cuts too deep. Oh, excuse me. And the only retreat is found in death. So that seems to imply that that was a suicide. And then we have the Three of Swords with a woman and holding a violin, which I thought was just like, you know, when people sarcastically do the thing with their fingers, like such a sob story kind of a thing. But here it says, when sorrow can be raised to an art form, heartbreak becomes a beautiful agony. The song of a mind in torment. Well, I disagree with that, but so what was it the Eight of Cups? I'm not even sure what this is. What is this? Cups, Wands, Cups. You know, some of them are relevant to a traditional meaning, like the Six, even though it didn't look particularly traditional. Here it says, for the Six, the joy that the future holds cannot be reached while one is chained to the sorrow of the past. But, you know, that's what the Six of Cups isn't usually sorrows of the past. It's usually happy memories of the past. Let's look at the Wands. How, you know, the Four of Wands was not traditional. The Wands mark the path to the goal. Home is in sight, one last push, and the challenge is complete. All right, I won't go any further. Because this is the sort of deck that to me just needs to be read intuitively on the images. I just didn't know if the guidebook was offering much insight on things that were in it that were less traditional. And it did a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not optimistic. I'm not optimistic about this one. I might do a deck interview. Maybe that will give me a better sense of what the, you know, maybe it'll disrupt some first impressions. My first impression is that I'm just not seeing it as a keeper, is my first impression. So maybe I'll come on separately, or what I'll do is I'll do a deck interview with it, and then I'll decide whether it's worth bothering you all about. I may even hesitate to put this up. I might decide that even this is not worth putting up. But we'll see. Time will tell. Take care, everybody. I hope your 2020 is going well thus far. Bye-bye.